Well, hello, and welcome once again to 25 o'clock. I'm your host, Dan Drago. Welcome. Greetings. Welcome to episode 26. We made no fanfare about episode 25. Frankly, I'm embarrassed with myself. I can't believe I let such a momentous number pass me by. So we're going to make a big deal about episode 26. Ooh, it's episode 26. Those are my patented mouth fireworks that I do every time we reach a milestone here at 25 o'clock. Anyway, episode 26, because any bozo can make a big deal about 25. Ooh, 25, and I know that we're 25 o'clock, and we wanted to be cool. We didn't want to make a thing out of it. We didn't want to, put on airs. But we won't make a big deal about episode 26. Welcome to episode 26. And welcome back. It's only been 2 weeks since the episode, but I feel like I've been gone from you all and from the show for a really long time. We did 2 live episodes over the last month, and we put them both out. We did them as part of Philadelphia Podcast Festival. And so much work and effort went into making those episodes, and I had such a blast doing it. But I feel like I haven't done the show for real in like a month. And I'm all about putting us back on track. This is not to say we're never going to do a live episode again, but I had a great time. But we got 2 of them, bam, right in a row, and now we're just going to get back to the regular life here at 25 o'clock. And that, of course, includes plugging 25o'clockpod.com. That's our website. Go there. Listen to the old episodes. Listen to the live episodes if you didn't hear them. They were great. Listen to episodes before that. You can subscribe to the mailing list. You can check us out on Facebook, on Twitter, on other things. I really think it's just Facebook and Twitter. I don't think that we're connected anywhere else. But we're out there. We're on the World Wide Web at 25o'clockpod.com. On the show this week, Courtlyn Carr, singer-songwriter, pianist, guitarist, all-around amazing artist. She has a record that she's working on right now. We definitely talk about that. I met her through Daniel De Jesus, who was back in episode 17. If you recall, he played the cello and sang in Spanish, and it was outstanding. So props, Daniel. Thanks for hooking me up with the intro to Courtlyn. I had a great conversation with her, and we're gonna talk more. We're gonna talk it all. We're gonna talk more about Courtlyn in just a second. But first, I would be remiss, it being the Monday after the Pope visit here in Philadelphia. I'd be remiss without throwing my 2 cents into the ring. My little recap of the Pope weekend here in Philadelphia. Whether you're Catholic or not Catholic, it was quite an event here in the city. The city streets were pretty much shut down, so all the streets were open. So I did a lot of bicycle riding all over the place. I took part in this thing called the Pope Ride. There was probably about 3,000 of us. We started at 30th Street Station, and we rode through the city. It was something to see. I thought the city did a good showing as well. I thought the city looked good. I thought people were generally cool. Like, sometimes we get the reputation for being a bunch of jerks here in Philadelphia, and it's not entirely unwarranted. But I think everyone behaved themselves this weekend, probably because the Pope was here. It's probably the only thing that could get Philadelphia to behave. But it was great. Philly didn't fall short. I thought it represented itself really well. It was a good time. There was a lot of, there were some inconveniences with the streets being closed and the public transit not going everywhere it used to go. And some people were complaining that some businesses didn't do as well. Look, I'm not going to say, I don't know. I'm not going to weigh in too hard and say like, oh, well, these businesses are whining and these businesses have a legitimate complaint. A lot of things could have been done different from the business community. I know from where I work, we didn't open, and we could have and probably made some money. But that's neither here nor there. Some businesses did really well. and some were slow. Many of them restaurants. But I will say this. There are too many damn restaurants in Philadelphia. Every week, I seem to be bombarded with a list of 2 or 3 new places that are opening. And I think we've reached a critical mass for restaurants, and I think there are too many of them. That's not to say that I want anyone to fail or people not to make money, but, there are too many restaurants in this city. But all in all, it was a good time here in Philadelphia during Pope weekend. It was a world-class event, and we're a world-class city. And I was glad to be here, and the whole city had this sort of festival block party atmosphere going for it. So it was a good time. And that is my 2 cents on the Pope weekend. Anyway, getting back to things that are happening right now, right here on 25 o'clock, Courtlyn Carr. As I said before, met her through another musician. Did not know her at all, didn't know anything about her. Knew a couple of people that she had worked with at one point or another, but knew nothing at all. And went out and recorded this interview with her at her rehearsal space. See, I said, it felt like I haven't been on the mic for like a month, and there we are. I recorded the interview with her at her rehearsal space out there in the burbs, and I have to address this because you're going to hear it in the recording, and I thought about not talking about it, but it's there, and you're going to wonder why I didn't talk about it. There is a Clash cover band playing down the hall from us at the rehearsal space. It's there. It's not distracting. It's not even entirely that loud, but we do make reference to it, and once we get talking, you completely can ignore it, but you're going to hear it, and I felt that it would be strange if I didn't say anything about it. You'd be all sitting there being like, does Dan not know that there's a Clash cover band playing the entire time throughout the episode? Yes, I know. It's there. They really rehearsed the crap out of their Clash material, though, so I hope whatever show that they were doing of all Clash material, I hope they knocked it out of the park, because they were rehearsing hard, and they were rehearsing loud. Anyway, that's enough out of me. Let's get down to it. Let's listen to my conversation with Courtlyn Carr. Oh, gosh, before I get into that, she has dates coming up, and I'll mention them again at the end of the show, but I'm going to do it now, too. CourtlynCarrmusic.com. That's CourtlynCarr music.com. Go to 25o'clockpod.com. I'll put her link up there too. In New York City, Friday, October 9th, she's playing at Pianos. And if you've never been to Pianos in New York City, if you are in New York City and you're hearing this show, you should go to this show. If you're thinking about maybe just going up to New York City on a Friday night, you could go to worse things. In fact, you couldn't go to better things. You should go to Pianos Friday, October 9th in New York City to see Courtlyn Carr and her band. And if you're not the adventurous type, if New York City freaks you out a little bit, man, Courtlyn Carr and her band are playing here in Philadelphia Friday, October 23rd at Bourbon and Branch up in the Northern Liberties. It's on 2nd Street, just above Fairmount. Phenomenal club. I couldn't think of a better place for her to play. It's a quiet, intimate, but really vibrant and energetic room. Bourbon and Branch, Courtlyn Carr and her band, Friday, October 23rd here in Philadelphia. That's what we get here. Just unedited stream of consciousness, me saying weird stuff and messing up the dates. Anyway, go to 25o'clockpod.com. I'm going to put her information up there, and you can learn all about it. Anyway, on with the show. Here's my conversation with Courtlyn Carr here on 25 o'clock.
Artist friends, and they have a lot of artist friends, and like we're all connected through people in one way or the other, and I want these people to be on a thing. Just because you're not famous, just because you're not selling like 2 million records a year, it doesn't mean that your story's not
No, I think it's great. I was listening to your interviews, and I was like, you know what, I'm a fan.
Where are you from, Courtlyn?
Oh, are we interviewing?
Oh, we've been rolling the whole time.
Oh, Lord. Okay. Oh, wow.
That's all right.
Okay. I'm sorry, say it again.
Where are you from?
I'm from Annapolis, Maryland.
Oh, I was just out around there. I was just in the
I
was just in the Chesapeake Bay. I was in Rock Hall.
Oh, okay. I'm from Annapolis, but actually south of there, like 30 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you I guess, how did you end up in Philadelphia from Annapolis?
My boyfriend, Steve.
Okay.
In Shark Tape.
So you guys knew each other?
We never knew each other until we actually met in Ocean City, Maryland. It's a bad story. It's not
no, it's a great
glamorous
story.
by any means.
I want to hear the non-glamorous story.
He was at a bachelor party, and I was at a bachelorette party in Ocean City, Maryland, which I never go to. I mean, I love the beach. But
I've never been to Ocean City, but I can imagine what a bachelor and bachelorette party in Ocean City, Maryland would
and
be
I was
like.
a DD. And
you're just drawing short straws all over the place.
And I saw Steve in the distance just staring at the ocean like the dad with his fanny pack and the towels piled up on his arms. And he was as white as the white T-shirt he was wearing. And all the girls in our party said, "Oh, that guy is so handsome. He looks like Twilight." I guess from the Twilight show. And anyway, one of the guys in his group of friends spilt a drink on the bride-to-be. And then we ended up... intermingling.
That's adorable. How long ago was that?
That was 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. That's great. See, people can meet in Ocean City, Maryland.
So that's why I'm here in Philly.
So you came here because he moved here?
Yes. I've been traveling back and forth from here for 3 years.
Okay. Because before that, you were kind of based out of D.C., right?
I was in D.C., and I lived in Nashville for 3 years before that.
I read about that. I definitely want to talk about that. But let's go back, and then we'll come forward.
Okay.
So you grew up in Annapolis.
So actually, to be honest, I say Annapolis because it's more glamorous.
Well, what was the name of the place you grew up?
Calvert County, Maryland.
Okay, so
I'm a South County girl.
So that's like down there getting like towards...
It's like tobacco farms in South... It's on the Potomac.
Are you getting... Okay, so you're on the western...
Yes.
The western shore.
Yeah.
Like getting down towards like
not
Port
as far
Frederick,
as...
or?
No, it's not as far as Solomon's Island or... St. Mary's County or Leonardtown. It's Southern Maryland.
Yeah. All Maryland geography is new to me as of 2 weeks ago. So I'm all about just showing my Maryland geography knowledge. Yeah. Is that by Solomon's Island? Oh, do you know it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's where the Marine Museum is.
So you grew up down there, like musical family?
Not professionally, but strong love for music. I grew up singing in church choir.
Oh, cool.
And I grew up in a Catholic family. And I was a youth choir director for a long time, like 15 years actually, but my dad sung in the choir. But then my dad had every obscure record to every great record from, the 70s to, I grew up in a musical family that had a strong love of music.
You grew up in a family of musical appreciators.
Yeah.
So what was the stuff that was getting played around the house when you were a kid?
It's so hard to say. Everything. I'm sure everybody says that, but Tom Petty to Glenn Campbell to Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Wonder. We went through a hip-hop phase in my family. Every hip-hop band. Mary J. Blige to Wu-Tang Clan to Tupac to Springsteen to...
was this all your dad? Was this your dad
my
and your
dad.
mom?
My dad DJ'd on the side. Now my mom loves it. Mm-hmm. My dad's got a great voice.
Oh, because he sang in the choir too.
Oh yeah,
What did your dad do besides? I mean,
he sings Al Green, like Al Green.
What did your dad do?
My dad is an entrepreneur. He owns a maintenance company, like sweeper trucks and the exterior of shopping centers, and he's a working man.
And he was a DJ.
Well, if my parents listen to this, they're gonna die laughing. Especially my mom. She's gonna be rolling her eyes. Like
he fancied himself.
Like Adam Sandler said, behind every successful man, there's a woman rolling her eyes. Well, and that's my mom with this.
Well, what did your mom do?
My mom, she worked for the circuit court. She was the head of the mailing system. My grandfather was in politics.
Oh, okay. Like high office or just...
Well, he was actually he's still the reigning youngest state's attorney in the state of Maryland to this day. And he ran for Congress against Nixon. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
From the state of Maryland, or?
Yeah, from the state of Maryland.
I don't know. Nixon ever ran for Congress from the state of Maryland.
I have no idea, but he ran for Congress against Nixon.
Did he win?
No.
Well, no.
Lost.
I mean, I don't
he
know.
lost.
I know nothing about politics from the 60s.
Neither do
or the
I.
50s.
I just see the pictures with my grandmother for First Lady and.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
But that has nothing to do with it.
No, but this is all the rich tapestry of growing up in Maryland tobacco.
In Maryland, yeah. There's tobacco farms where my family lives, and the original standing tobacco barns, and we still go down there.
Yeah. So a lot of music going on in the house. Where were you? I mean, obviously you were musically inclined at a young age. Where did it kind of take hold? Like, do you take piano lessons or things like that?
I started classical piano training at 5, and I took piano lessons all through high school. And then I wanted to pursue music in college, and my parents said, okay, if you want to go to college, you have to get a scholarship. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to apply to Berklee in Boston, and so my dad actually took me to a bar, which is actually it's like haunted. It's on one of those shows on A&E or something where it's like the most haunted bar in Annapolis.
Ghost Hunters?
Ghost Hunters, maybe that's what it is.
But so he took you to a haunted bar.
He took me to a haunted bar in Annapolis. It's called Middleton's Tavern, and they still have the grand piano. They do like the Billy Joel, piano bar theme. And he took me there. I was like 18. I wasn't drinking or anything, but he got me in there, and there was a guy playing there called Larry Lay, and I asked him to play on my scholarship audition CD, because Berklee, I don't know what they do now. I think you might have to send like a YouTube video or whatever, but I had Larry Lay come to the studio, to Bias Recording Studios in Virginia, to play on my CD, and I got into Berklee. Well, I got offered an audition to get a scholarship from that CD, which I sung an Ella Fitzgerald song, The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea, and another standard, like Ain't Misbehavin' or something. So
you were going for vocal?
For vocal. And I got a scholarship. I got the World Scholarship Tour. I was a recipient of that.
Oh, okay, cool. So you went to Berklee. Did you do the whole deal at Berklee?
I graduated in 2007 from Berklee as a World Scholarship.
You're like the second person I know. I know a lot of people who went to Berklee. You're like maybe the second person I've ever met who actually graduated from Berklee.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a common story, because they get better offers than graduating from Berklee.
Yeah, especially if you're from Berklee and you're kind of a hot deal, or like you think you're a hot deal at the time, and someone says, hey, you want to go join this touring band?
Yeah. I never got that.
Well, no, that's good. You were able to focus on your studies.
But that's really helped pay my bills, because having that Berklee degree has helped me do my teaching business, which is what keeps me alive.
What do you do for teaching business? Like teaching vocal?
I teach vocals, piano, and guitar, and ukulele, believe it or not.
It's been a rising trend for years.
It is.
Where do you do that out of?
Annapolis and Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
And also on FaceTime.
No, you're not the first person I've heard of that either. I have a friend out of New York who's like a metal prog rock guitarist, and he teaches a lot of...
Really?
Yeah, and he teaches a lot of stuff via like FaceTime and Skype and things like that.
Wow.
Apparently
Skype is outdated, apparently.
Well, I'm very old and outdated.
Well, see, I had suggested Skype to one of my students, and they said, well, that's kind of outdated. We'd rather do FaceTime.
Ms. Carr, no one uses Skype anymore. No, that's a thing. Like, you can pay money. Like, you can pay some pretty good money to like do these online clinics with like known studio players and things like that. I'm curious what one truly gets out of like a group learning thing like that. I definitely see what one would get out of a one-on-one thing.
Yeah.
It's probably a really great bridge right there for people who might not have access to other like really quality music instructors because they live in the middle of nowhere or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, that's great that you teach. Is it all ages or?
All ages. I actually, back in the day, when I graduated from Berklee in 2007, I went back home and I was depressed because it's hard to find a job that pays anything. And I was playing, I had a wedding band. I was with a like a cheesy wedding band agency in DC. And I was in a band called Melodium. I don't even know where that came from.
What was that? What kind of band was that?
We did cocktail parties like jazz, and then we did the top 40 wedding band. Those lights right there were from my wedding band.
Hey, they do look like wedding
the
band
carrying
lights.
case included.
You can't get rid of that, though. You never know when you might need wedding band lights again.
Yeah.
So you come back from Berkeley.
So I was at home, and my mom said, "You need to get a job. You need to do something in the meantime." So my parents are very Catholic, and I still respect the Catholic religion, and I don't go to church. I don't practice it. I love all religions, all faiths now. And at the time, I was going to church to please my parents, and from that, I started getting kind of persuaded into being the youth choir director.
Oh.
And then there I was with a group of like 50 kids sending out schedules and printing out sheets, going to the Christian music conference, and that was my life for a while. And from that, it was just kind of the universe saying, okay, you should be a teacher and this is going to be your income. It really worked out. And I had about 30 some students. I mean, I'm not sure of the exact number, but I had a really strong community of people supporting me and wanting to get instruction from me.
Did you find that did you like that as much or more than the performing aspect? I know they're really kind of different beasts right there.
No way. I hate teaching kids.
Oh.
No.
It all comes out.
They're brats. No, but I love it. Actually, that is my portal to what is going on now.
Oh, like modern music and stuff like that. Because
I sound so dated. I say, well, who is this person? Who's this Ed Sheridan? Or I mean, I obviously know who he is now, but that was my first light into that.
Yeah. I didn't know who Bruno Mars was for years.
Yeah, until you saw him at the Super Bowl, right?
I knew who he was, and then I thought he was like some throwaway pop icon, and then I saw him play the drums, and to me, like,
he's a class act.
Anyone who can play the drums like that, I'm just like, instantly you win. Like, you got points with me. And then he did and then he's on like that Mark Ronson record, which is like, I have no business liking that record, except that I love that record. Because everything on that's good. There's a Method Man track on there that sounds like an old James Brown song.
Really?
Like it's Method Man just kind of doing that sort of like James Brown shout type thing.
Wow,
it's actually like, I think the only reason it never got released as a single is because it's Method Man, and so it's probably vulgar in some way, but it's a really great song. I remember listening to that record the whole way through and just being like, I have to listen to this again. Like, this is, and it'd been a while since I like had sort of like taken in just pop music.
Yeah.
Because everything else was, heady or, obscure or indie rock or something like that. And I remember listening to this and being like, here's one of those crossover artists, like a Michael Jackson or something like that, where just like everyone is just like, of course everyone likes Michael Jackson. Like, or everyone likes, I don't have a follow-up with that.
Yeah.
All right. So you're teaching choir. You're living in Maryland.
I'm living in Maryland.
Trying to figure out what's up.
So then I formed a band I started teaching at a place called the Garrett Music Academy in Maryland. And actually a guy that I went to Berkeley with taught there as well, and another guy that went there for a while, and we formed a band. We formed the second wedding band. It wasn't Melodium anymore. Whenever I think Melodium, I think of like Imodium baby or something. It's not a hot name.
I would not have thought of that, but now I can't not think that.
And we formed another wedding band, and we were called Top Shelf. This is...
But these are, like, that's what people want when they want a wedding band. They don't want, like, some sort of, like, esoteric, thinky nickname. They're just like, Top Shelf.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That's what we want. We don't want rail. We want Top Shelf.
Yes.
So I started that band, and somehow I became the manager of all these bands, and we had our website, and I did that, and we were playing gigs in DC and the greater area of Annapolis, Virginia, and all of that. And then I started branching off and started my own business, which I actually had before I went to Berklee.
What business was this?
Teaching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was already doing recitals when I was 17 years old of all the kids. Actually, my family says I was doing family recitals. I have a big family. It's Italian, Irish, Swedish, and German. And I have like 70 cousins, no joke. And at Christmases, I would line up all of the kids and do recitals and hand out programs at Family Christmas every year.
When you were doing like these wedding bands and these cover bands or party bands or whatever they're called now, like I'm sure that was like, because you can clean up in those things, like, you can make some good money on that, but like there was obviously something in you that was not going to be satisfied with just being a working musician in that way. You clearly had a songwriting voice. And I guess we can kind of go to Nashville from there, because you were in Nashville after Berklee. When was
I was actually living in Boston for 5 years. I switched majors a few times. I started out I was vocal performance, and then I switched to piano performance. I had to do like my proficiency test to see where I tested out, and I tested to go right into piano performance because I studied classical most of my life. And then I decided for the third time I wanted to be a songwriting major. So I studied with Pat Pattison, and I went on all these Nashville trips with the songwriting department for a couple of years. I think I went with them 3 years with the Berklee songwriting department. And then I decided to move to Nashville.
And that was right after Berklee?
That was right after Berklee. And I ended up living with a gay hairdresser who does, Gwyneth Paltrow, Taylor Swift, all the stars, Tanya Tucker. And I got into this whole world of the Nashville scene.
Yeah. Well, when was this when you were in Nashville? This is
2000. This was actually because I was home for 2 years in Annapolis. I was working at the Ram's Head, which is a big music venue in Annapolis and Baltimore, and they own Pier 6. And I ended up waiting tables there and working at J. Crew clothing store, which was miserable.
Folding sweaters and
sweaters, which I was actually great as a sales representative. But anyway, I was told to go back and fold sweaters. And then I moved to Nashville 2 years after that in 2009. And I was there from 2009 until I think 2012. It was about 3 years. 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. And what were you, you were there to try and make a career out of it, to try either make a songwriting career or a performance career or a combination of both.
So when I was in Nashville, I formed a band, and well, first of all, I had my own songwriting project, and I had another guitarist I played with, and I played guitar a lot in Nashville, and we did the Bluebird. And I actually got kind of a residency at Sambuca, which is their dinner theater show venue. Somehow I found my way into the cover band thing again. And we did that to pay the bills, and then I taught lessons there. I taught for an entertainment attorney in Nashville and a lot of other people that could afford lessons. And then just played a lot of shows throughout the city.
Were you finding, because I know it's such a saturated city, I think even more so than in LA or New York, because at least in LA or New York, there are many other aspects of not even all other industry, but even just the entertainment industry. Yeah. But in Nashville, it's kind of like an all or nothing town. And it is really a town. Like, to call it a city but I think town would be a more accurate term for Nashville. In terms of its closeness and its smallness, and it's
incestuous.
It's very I don't know. Myopic might not be the word, but everyone is just very much focused on not just making it, but like it doesn't seem like a place that fosters bands. It seems like a place that fosters personalities.
Truly, Philadelphia gave me for the first time, and I still to this day do not have released what I truly am as an artist, and I'm sure I'll say that 5 years from now. But Philadelphia is the first city that really gave me the opportunity to not judge. I mean, it's a judgmental city and a judgmental town.
Oh, we're jerks, yeah.
Right. Total assholes, but
in a wonderful, loving, in a wonderful way.
Yeah, where I could walk into somewhere and have I could wear a bun on top of my head like this, and people would say, "Oh, that's so throwback. We love you. You look like you're from Mad Men or something." Where in a city like Nashville, it's like relating it to the music.
Yeah.
If you do one thing, they pigeonhole you into that's what you are.
So you're the bun. So she's the bun hair lady singer.
She's the bun hair lady singer.
Yeah,
exactly.
she's the Loretta Lynn, like right there, something
exactly.
Like that. That's really interesting. I've always been fascinated with Nashville as it's like this microcosm of a music world. It's just so like. Incestuous is a really accurate term because it's never
as far
seems
as
to be
the
about
publishing
bands.
companies in the music industry, because I was songwriting with some people from Carnival Music and people associated with Yellow Dog, and I actually had interviews with some of those people, like the heads of the publishing companies or whatever. And I went in there and I would show my songs, and the songs that I really love, which it was just me on piano. And one of the comments I got was, well, that's just too groovy. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It didn't fit. Where they're great writers and they're doing great things, but I wasn't for that. It was never for me. And the people I was playing with at the time were kind of leading me in that direction, because my whole life everybody has said, well, gee, you look like a country singer. And I say, well, I love country.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to Willie Nelson and Bonnie Raitt. My favorite song as a child was "If I Can't Make You Love Me," but that's not really what's going on now.
No, and with Nashville right now too, I feel like I don't know, like people like Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and stuff like that really were anti-Nashville, were like anti-establishment, and it's so funny how that has swung back, and like that itself is now a codified style.
Yeah.
Whereas like Willie Nelson isn't doing songs that like he did 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Waylon Jennings, if he's still alive, I'm admitting complete ignorance right here about whether or not Waylon Jennings is alive or not, but they're not making music, like they didn't continue to make music like that. They did other things, and I find it really amusing that like Nashville gets stuck in grooves where they're just like, well, this is what's selling. And I think right now you get like some breakout stuff like Alabama Shakes or something like that, but they're not really Nashville, and they're kind of out of LA, but I know their producer was a Nashville guy for a while.
Yeah. Well, she's great. I mean, the whole band's great.
They're a fantastic band. But how did you so when you left Nashville, were you kind of like throwing your hands in the air?
Well, when I left Nashville, I actually got offered to open for Little Big Town for a while, and then I just opened one show for Martina McBride, and then I opened for the Steel Drivers, which are an amazing band, and Mountain Heart, and I was opening for a lot of these bands that were very Nashville-esque, but more in the bluegrass sense meets old school Nashville. And if we did
Carter family type stuff.
Exactly.
Almost, yeah.
If we did a cover song, it would be like the trio from Ronstadt and Dolly Parton, and we would do like a Bonnie Raitt cover or something like that. But that's more of like the realm of what we were doing. And I had a fiddle player in the band who plays now. He's touring with a bluegrass band, and I had banjo and pedal steel in the band and the whole thing.
It's very like Grand Ole Opry type of stuff going on.
Yeah, with like a bluesy twist. I released an EP about I don't know when it was. It was maybe like 7 years ago. With and I had Ricky Simpkins, who played on the record, who plays with Emmy Lou Harris and Earl Scruggs, and he played mandolin and banjo on the record. And then Jim Robertson, who produced all of Mary Chapin Carpenter's CDs, did the record. So it was very country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nashville was a very country town.
Yeah. But ironically, I recorded that in my hometown.
Oh,
in Virginia. Well, close. I consider Virginia like home.
Yeah. So
over the Woodrow Wilson Bridge.
But you did it over in sort of the Maryland, Virginia area. That's interesting. So when you left Nashville, what was the plan?
So when I left Nashville, I actually opened for more major country bands than I ever opened for when I was in Nashville. It was the whole, you lived in Nashville, you played in Nashville. Wow.
You got the cred of just having had an address in Nashville for 3 years.
It was I'm back home from Nashville.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you definitely did the work too. I mean, you were songwriting. You're probably working with a lot of incredibly talented people who are probably firing your brain in ways that you didn't expect. Yeah, it's definitely a working town.
I worked with a lot of great people.
Yeah, but it almost seems like at some point you need to kind of step away from it to even just digest everything that you've learned.
Yeah, that was the way I was after I left Boston, living there and graduating from Berkeley. I needed a year to recover from that, and then I went to Nashville, and then I took my year to recover, and then it's almost like a hangover from each. And then after that, I ended up singing for the Legwarmers. I don't know if you've heard of them. We played the Trocadero.
That was like a big
old 80s tribute band. Yeah. So I spent last year touring with them. I was their lead female singer.
Oh, that's
last
cool.
year. Yeah, and we did.
But again, back in the cover band world.
I know, right?
Every time you think you're out, they pull you back in.
If I have the venue to do it, I've been my first Berkeley proficiency. My ratings went down since I was at Berkeley. Mm-hmm. My first proficiency, they said 97% would love to hear you sing Heart or Fleetwood Mac. I have like one of those belty, like old,
Well, I hear that
80s.
on your recording. You have a voice that's not. It's not all high. Like, I mean, obviously you can probably sing high from a pitch standpoint, but like, there's a lot more mid character in your voice.
There's like a low tone to it.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
So you're in the 80s band. So
I had a blast.
And that's as much. I mean, that's as much singing as it is. It's a performance too. Like you're doing like a show. That's show.
I
business.
love performing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you have a theater background too, or?
Well, actually, it's funny you ask. This might not be relevant, but my first real fame experience was when I was 10 years old at the Calvert County Fair in Southern Maryland, where they have like the pig contest.
Yeah.
Okay. I won first place in whatever, I don't know what it was, but I won first place in the Calvert County Fair for singing and playing the piano of Beauty and the Beast, from the musical Beauty and the Beast. So I love musical theater. Then in high school, I was the star of most of my high school musicals, and then I went to like the National Invitational Theater Festival and all that stuff at University of Maryland, and I was Fantine and Les Mis, and I love musical theater.
Well, it sounds like that definitely comes in a lot. I mean, not only doing the Legwarmers, but just when I listen to the records, when I listen to the recordings, at least you've probably done most recently, the stuff that's up on your SoundCloud right now, that's a record? That's like a full record right there, right?
SoundCloud. Do I even have anything on SoundCloud?
I hope so, because I listen to a whole lot of music by someone named Courtlyn Carr. Okay. I hope that was
I'm
you.
so bad at technology. No. Everything.
Well,
okay.
Then who handles that then? Like who's putting that stuff up for you?
I'm so dated with all of this. So my record, Spellbound, I just recorded with Phil Nicolo.
Yeah, that's the one that's up there.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, that's the one then.
Yeah.
Somehow, okay, somebody
and that's great
posted
that you
it
work
on
with
SoundCloud.
Phil too, because Phil's outstanding.
Oh, I love Phil. We had a blast with Phil.
And he's got such a range. He's done so many things. Him and his
Joel
brother.
Yeah.
There's a great YouTube video that you should watch of Joe and Phil in one of the studios, probably at Joe's place up in Conshohocken or something.
Yeah, I love.
And they're basically breaking down Criss Cross's Jump sample by sample and just showing you how they pieced it together.
He told us the whole story about when they did that. They
never
thought it would be a hit.
And it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like when they broke down like all the stuff, you're just like, it's wonky, it's out of time, it's not snapped to the grid.
If you meet Phil, have you met Phil?
I met Phil at a conference, and I didn't know what to say to him because And I know he's a super approachable guy, and now that I'm a little older.
He has such a childlike energy. It's like hanging out.
He was great on the panel. Like, he was really just into it. But he and his brother recorded 2 of my favorite records by the same artist ever.
Who?
Urge Overkill. They did an album called Saturation, and they did an album called Exit the Dragon. And those... Urge Overkill was like a Chicago kind of 70s fuzz band. That still are one of my... They did... you remember in Pulp Fiction, Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon?
Yeah, I do.
Cover? That's Urge Overkill. They didn't do that one, though. That was earlier. But, like, I didn't know what to say to Phil, because all I could think was, like, you produced, like, one of my favorite
You were a little
records.
starstruck
Like,
for a second.
as a teenager. And I know that producers are just producers, and, like, they got paid to do a thing, but I'm just like...
Yeah.
You made them sound so good.
Phil, he's a genius. I mean, working with him, he was awesome. It was just hanging out. It was totally relaxed. I'll tell a short Phil story.
You tell all the Phil stories
Okay.
that you want.
So I wrote this song called He's Like the Moon. And he showed me, I forget who it was, but he was showing me somebody playing acoustic who is in a band. I don't remember who it was. But I said, Phil, I feel like I can't sing this song right now because I feel like the atmosphere is not right. And this sounds really divish, but I said, the song is called He's Like the Moon. And I just wrote this on the porch, like drinking a bottle of wine, just chilling out. You know, I need a moon, Phil. And I was joking around. So, Phil, I'm in the room. I look into the booth through the glass. Phil Niccolo is literally standing there with his laptop with a freaking moon on it. Okay, holding it up like this, and he goes, presses a button, says, "You feel comfortable now? Here's your moon. Let's go, honey." That's Phil.
That's so funny.
And he said he uses that for an example, and I think he teaches. Where does he teach? Not UArts or Temple or something. He teaches somewhere around here.
I can't remember where he does. Not Villa Nova, but I do know that he teaches, and like he would be such a cool guy to take like a recording class from or something.
Yeah,
like
he's
that.
amazing. But Phil also brought his friend Rob Hyman, who wrote Time After Time and What If God Was One of Us. He played accordion on one of my jazz standards I wrote on the record. So that was cool.
It's so funny how many of these guys are around Philly. Like,
I know.
You think of it all being like New York and LA, but like there's a ton of music.
And it's
guys
more
around
accessible
Philly.
here.
Oh, definitely. Well, it's a working town. Like,
yeah.
And it's less. I've noticed just from being in I know from being in bands in Philly, is that there's just definitely a greater support network than I could imagine. And I have friends in bands in New York, and I have friends in bands in LA, and they're doing all right. They like it, but they'll come to Philly and see the way that we all interact with each other, and they're just like, this doesn't even feel like a working scene. They're like, it's just like you guys all know each other and throw a show in this place, and that's what it is. And I don't know if you've gotten that sense too in Philadelphia, being like a much more welcoming, much less careerist. It's a less careerist town.
It is. When I first moved here, it was hard for me because everybody judged me as country, because still to this day, besides the record I did with Phil, which was kind of a discovery record for me. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely like a classic pop singer type record, or like pop singer songwriter, like a Harry Nilsson, or even like kind of Randy Newman. Definitely not with the humor. I love Randy Newman too.
See, I come from an old school, like I'm a huge Burt Bacharach fan.
I
and all the
definitely hear that. There's some sweeping string stuff in there that's very...
And I arrange all the strings, and Daniel De Jesus, which you know that you've interviewed before, played the strings, and that was kind of my discovery record, but Philly brought that to me. I actually wrote a song when I came here called, it's a musical theater-esque song, and it's called I'm Still Finding Me. And that's what the Wissahickon in Philadelphia did to me when I was taking a walk there.
So what are you working on now, then?
What I'm working on now is the closest to Courtlyn that I've ever come.
Well, that's good.
And that's from, as we have the Clash cover band playing in the background, that's from my classic background of the Burt Bacharach, Carly Simon, Joni Mitchell, all of that. And from that mixed with being in Philly and hearing so many great bands here, and then doing the 80s Legwarmers tribute band to my boyfriend's band Shark Tape, which is new wave meets
kind of replacements.
Replacements. Oh my gosh, I love Paul Westerberg.
Oh.
But see, like Skyway. Do you know that song?
By
You take the skyway up and da 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 da. But it's very country.
Yeah.
Meets. It's very songwriter.
He's one of those guys too that I think one of the best things that happened to him as a songwriter was that the Replacements broke up. Like, and I love the Replacements.
We saw them at.
Did you go to that show?
Yeah.
I was on the fence on that, just about whether or not I want to support.
It was great.
Any more people getting back into.
That was their last show,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah,
they're done.
Yeah. Well, but Westerberg is such, like, I wish he toured more, like, just as a performer, because I can name like 3 or 4 Westerberg albums that I think are as good, if not better, than some of the Replacements albums.
Yeah.
He did a record called Stereo back in, I think it was like a 1, but it came with another disc that was called Mono under the name Grandpa Boy. That's just like straight live, like 2-track tape, like just what you hear on the tape is a performance right there. And if it gets a little gnarly in places, it gets a little gnarly in places,
yeah.
and they just leave it.
Oh, I love.
And it's just so honest, and it's just, and it has that kind of like almost slightly 80s-ish country vibe to it. Like when I think of like the beginnings of alt country, like the Jayhawks, Knuckle Tupelo, and things like that.
And it's very honest.
It is.
I love Paul, and I've been listening to a lot of him and Chris Bell and Big Star and just all these people that I was really never exposed to. And then Steve from Shark Tape, I've been exposing him to the Burt Bacharachs and the...
So we can expect a more Bacharackian Shark Tape record coming.
Exactly. And then my next record kind of sounds...
A little punkier, a little...
It really is. It sounds like nothing I've ever done. I have a song called Diane coming out, which is very Fleetwood Mac meets... It's interesting. One of my other songs coming out on the record, which I've been recording another record at the Milk Boy in Philly, and we're working with a great engineer named Joel, and we've worked with Carl there as well. Tommy Joyner. Yeah, I don't know if you know any of those people.
I know some of those names. Yeah.
And it's this song Dancing. It's very out there, and it's very different from anything I've ever done. But I'm really proud of it. It kind of sounds. Have you heard the new Bowie song, The Stars Are Out Tonight?
Yeah.
It sounds like that. It's called
cool.
Dancing.
It's the second, but Bowie came up in my last interview too. That's a layered thing right there. You can keep, like, I thought, like, I knew my Bowie that I liked, and I thought, like, oh, I don't like Bowie past this point.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to stuff past a certain point and being like, oh, this is great. And maybe I just had to grow up and, like, embrace different elements of him. But that's a good thing about, like, artists like that, like those big, long-standing artists that, like, you kind of come to at different points of your life and just like, oh, well, that's what he's trying to do right there.
Yeah. I don't think he knows what he's trying to do. That's what's so great. I'm teasing.
I
love him.
I just don't want him to die, but I think that he's gonna die. When
I know.
Like I know that he was ill, and like you hear so many things. Like at first, like no
Joni Mitchell when she was ill recently, I was.
Oh, I really thought that like at any moment I was like we're gonna like read on. It's like and Joni Mitchell's dead, and I'll be like. I mean, not that I like.
It was like when Philip Seymour and Robin Williams died. I literally bawled my eyes out listening to. I can never say it right. It's Schenectady, New York. The closing symphonic track of that. It just rips my heart out. I love it. He was
such an actor too that just like put so much of himself out there that like. He's a method actor. We all knew him a little bit. He went to my high school. Like obviously,
did he really?
He's obviously much older than I am.
You're from New York.
Yeah, he went to Fairport High School.
Okay.
And he had the same theater director that I had. I interviewed him for my school paper when I was in 10th grade.
Did you really?
When he did Twister.
That is amazing.
And he was so nice to me. Like I think I woke him up. Like my theater director had called his mother. Who would like set it up with him and be like, this kid from your high school paper is going to call you.
So you've met Philip.
I didn't meet him. I did it over the phone. I've never met him in person.
So it was like almost famous over the phone.
It
like
was.
Him.
I just watched that movie this morning.
No way. That was your first time?
What? No, I've seen it before.
That?
No, I've seen it before. I just think I was watching it this morning because I was doing work, and I put it on thinking, like, I've seen Almost Famous so many times.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I'll throw it on. It's like throwing on, like, Pulp Fiction or,
right.
you know, like The Big Lebowski or something. I'm just like, I'll just have this on, coming in and out.
This is off the beat. Are you a David Lynch fan?
Yes.
Okay, so are we.
Nothing's off the beat here.
Okay.
I'm a huge David Lynch fan.
Okay, because we're film fans.
Did you see his showing at PAFA?
No.
Oh, it was interesting to like see. It was his like visual art and some of his early like film experiments, because he went to PAFA.
Isn't
briefly.
there some bar or venue here that is like
Philomoka? It's from
we've played there
from Eraserhead, like
right from one of his first films.
Yeah, I think he shot parts of Eraserhead.
I was so creeped out when I first saw that film with the little baby.
Nothing is okay about that film.
It's so bizarre.
Have you heard his record too? Like
I actually haven't.
It came out like a year or so ago. You got to just really be a David Lynch appreciator to kind of like put up with some of the stuff that he does. Like his visual art too. Visual art, like his, I don't know how else to describe it. Like paintings and drawings and kind of like mixed media stuff. It's like on cardboard and things like that, and it's just very strange. But like the only way to describe it is like it's very Lynchian.
Yeah.
But of course it would be, because it's coming from his
Everywhere
brain.
I go in Philly, I say, well, that's very Lynchian.
No, Philly is very Lynchian too. I really think that this city imprinted on him in ways that is not immediately apparent.
I find myself saying, that looks like it'd be in a Lynch film every day when I'm in Philly, or if we go
Philly's
out.
full of it. Just going to that north part of like Spring Garden, like
well, we live in
9th and
Fishtown.
12th. Yeah.
And driving in, right? I mean, it's so gentrified there now. It's insane, and the construction
Should have been up there 10 years ago. It was something else.
Well, it was very, it was ghetto there.
It was really spotty. I remember walking up to
spotty's a better word.
Yeah, the Fringe Arts bar, like the bar that they would set up for like the 2 weeks of Fringe, was up on North American Street. It was below Gerrard still too.
Do you ever? Well, I'm sure you've been to Brenda's.
Yeah.
We live literally. Well, Steve and I from Shark Tape. We live literally across from the Barcade. Mm-hmm. Right there on Frankfurt and Gerrard.
I used to rehearse in a garage when I was in a different band, a garage on Shakamaxon right across the street from Johnny Brenda's.
That area is so Lynch still.
It is very
There's
much.
like a psychic reading place right off of the new like detour to 95 South.
Yeah.
When I come in, it's literally nothing there. You see like syringes on the ground on the highway, and there's construction going on, and it's the crisscross of roads, and then you see this little teeny bungalow that says psychic readings, and I said, oh my gosh, welcome to Lynchtown every time I come home.
So getting back to the new stuff that you're doing right now, I don't know how we're getting back to the new stuff you're doing right now. when are we going to see that?
Well,
not to rush it. You don't have to have an answer.
It's kind of turning into a record. I just randomly wrote these new tracks. I wrote a track called Just Dancing, and that's the Bowie-esque song that I told you about earlier, and a song called Come Easy Go, and then a couple of other songs, which Come Easy Go is kind of Wilco a little bit, which I'm excited about. Wilco's new record, Star Wars, by the way. I have a full band. I have a full 7-piece band.
Oh, wow.
So I have this great guy named John Coleman playing upright bass / electric, depending on what track it is. And then I have Daniel DeJesus on cello and violin on some songs. The more Wilco-esque songs, he'll play violin, and then cello and some of the more Bowie-esque ones. And then I have electric guitar, and I play piano and the drums, and we cross all genres now.
That's great.
It's like Fleetwood Mac meets Bowie meets a little old school classic writing. There's always that hook that hopefully stays in your head.
Excellent. Well, do you want to play something off the new one? You want to see if Steve is hanging inside the door right now?
I'd like to see if he's
codependency 101, but at the time I thought that it was fun. It's in the space that you created, found your heart just couldn't take it. The gravity points fists at you, and I jump on my knees for you, and in some sick and twisted way, I think you like watching me beg.
It's all part of the ambiance.
I was like worked up.
I mean, I think it sounded great.
That was good. That was good. I liked that very, very much.
Yeah.
I think we're there.
I think we got
there.
it.
Courtlyn, thank you so much.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Thanks, Daniel.
We'll be together till the end of time. 25
Outstanding. Huge thanks to Courtlyn for being on the show. Thanks for taking the time, sitting down, playing tunes for us and all that. Thanks to Steven, too. That's her dude. That's her man. He fronts a band called Shark Tape, which I know we mentioned once or twice in the interview. And if you haven't heard Shark Tape, you got to get in on that, too. So go to CourtlynCarrmusic.com. Get all her tunes. Check out Shark Tape as well. Hopefully I'm going to get Steven on the show sometime soon. Anyway, to recap, CourtlynCarrmusic.com, that's where you can learn all stuff about Courtlyn. She's playing in New York City Friday, October 9th at Pianos. Again, as I said, that club gets a high recommendation from me. It's a great room. And she's playing in Philadelphia Friday, October 23rd at Bourbon and Branch here in the Northern Liberties. That club also gets a huge nod from me. So, hey, you can't go wrong seeing Courtlyn Carr in the month of October. Both places are great. Maybe you should go to both. I think you should go to both. Take the train, take a plane, take a boat, however you got to get there. Just go see Courtlyn Carr, CourtlynCarrmusic.com. And I'm going to put all her information up at 25o'clockpod.com at the Friends and Neighbors page. Whew! Thanks for hanging out this week, everyone. Like I said, I feel like I haven't done this in a really, really long time, even though I've been putting out shows like normal. We're back on track. We're back doing the regular one-on-one interview style that we're known for here at 25 o'clock. Anyway, I haven't done that thing in a while where I play a Philadelphia artist at the end of the show. I just haven't had anything to play in a while. A lot of people that I know are working on records. My friend Nicholas Hughes, who I used to play in a band with, he's working on a solo record right now. I can't wait till that thing's done. Nicholas, give me some tracks, man. Jay Vertebello from, I think he's episode 18 or 19. He's working on some stuff too. Jay, you got to send me some stuff. If you're out there, you're a Philadelphia artist, send me some tracks. Go to 25o'clockpod.com. Send them to me that way. Anyway, thank you all for being here. This is Dan Drago. This is 25 o'clock. I'll catch you all in a couple of weeks. Take care.